Hey, this is Josh from Breezy Bellows. In this video, we're going to look at the diminished chord button. The chord that for most accordion players, most beginners, most intermediate players is like the least used chord button compared to like your majors, minors, and dominant sevenths. What is this diminished chord? How often do I use it? Do you need it? Obviously, you need it. If you don't need it, I don't think all full-size accordions would have that button in there. And how can you use it? Is that something that is super hard to do? Like, where can you incorporate it and all of that? So when you talk about diminished buttons, a lot of times I hear people saying that you don't need it. They go to the point of like it's so extreme that people sometimes even suggest that you don't even need a 120 bass accordion, go for like a 60 bass or a 80 bass. I don't remember which exact configurations don't have the sixth row of diminished chord buttons. I've seen like so many people say this, like you don't need this. Yeah, like I've played for like 10 years, I play all sorts of music and I don't need this. So is that true or not? It's true and false. Like it depends on how you're looking at it. It is possible to play without the diminished chords, same way as it's possible to like play without the sevenths. You can always like substitute majors for the dominant sevenths, but playing the dominant sevenths provide you like that stronger sense of resolution when you move from the dominant to the tonic. And let me talk about that in detail when we actually look at this and what is resolution and all of that. So it is something that will make your left hand more richer. It provides you more options to harmonize on the left hand. So let me show you how I use it. And before that, let's look at what the diminished chord actually is. So let me bring my accordion closer to the camera. And let's look at it. So to begin, the major triad is something that we all know. I'm going to do this in C. It's like 3 notes, major third and a fifth. So what's a major third? A major third is nothing but 2 whole steps. So a whole step is when you skip the very next note. Doesn't matter if it's a sharp or a natural. I don't want to say black key because this accordion does not have a black key. It's a brown key. And so let's see, C, whole step, another whole step is a major third, and then a minor third on top of that major third is a half step and a whole step. So this gives you your major triad, which you can play on the left hand by pressing the C major button. So a minor is when you, like I'll show you how we do the minor starting from the major. So I have the major triad, I just have to flat the third by a half step. Flat the third as in like lower it by a half step, which is the very next lower note. So instead of playing C, E, and G, and we play C, E flat, and G. And a dominant seventh is the major with another minor third added to on top of the third note of the triad, which is the G. So we have a whole step and a half step. So, but in an accordion, when you play the dominant seventh, which is this, it doesn't have the fifth in it, which is the third note. C, E, G, B flat, and then we don't play the G. That's what we have here. And there's a reason why they do that, which makes chord combinations more easy. We're not gonna get into it right now. But let's look at the diminished, right? So we have the major triad. How do I play the diminished? So we have like C, E, and G. C, major third, and fifth. These are the 3 notes. C is the root. Your major third is the E, and your G is the major fifth. So you get a dominant by lowering your third by a half step, just like how you do it for a minor chord. So C, E flat, and also lower your fifth. So it's a flat at fifth. So instead of playing C, E, G, so we play C, E flat, and G flat. So that is a diminished chord. It sounds like confusion. So this is how I look at it. Like your major sounds happy, minor sounds sad, and the diminished sounds confusing. But is that what we have in the diminished chord? Right here, it's not actually these three notes when we play the diminished chord button on the accordion, because that is actually a diminished seventh chord that we play, which is a minor third, another minor third is what we have for the diminished chord, because we flatted both of this, right? So from C to E flat is a minor third, and from E flat to G flat is another minor third, and we stack another minor third on top of it. So whole step, half step, and A. So that is a diminished seventh, and there is a small modification to this on the left hand side. So when I play the C diminished chord button, it's not the exact C diminished seventh, but we leave out the third note in this 4-note pattern, where the flatted fifth is out. So we have like C, E flat, and A. So this is what we have on the left hand. So we have this. And if I add the C sharp here, where's the C sharp? Here's the C. C sharp, and then I add the diminished fifth. I'm not even sure if I'm doing it right, but if you add the C sharp over there with the diminished C diminished button, you get the full C diminished seventh chord. So, but that's not the point. I wanted to show a pattern that I do on the left hand, in which I use the diminished chord, which you can also use. So, what is this pattern? So, usually you might be playing something like this, right? So, you are on C. So, let's do this on C major. So, I'm not going to do alternating basses. Let's keep this super simple. C. And then you can go to G. So that's a resolution, right? So what we're doing here is going from C major to G major and back to C. And I call that a resolution because you create some tension when you go to the dominant, which is the fifth. So, and it sounds even better if you play that as a seventh. And what is the tension? And what is a resolution? So your home is like C, which is your tonic. If I'm playing something in C major, if you're a beginner, most of the songs that you play are either going to be in C major, F major, or G major, and most of them will be on C major. If you're in like Palmer Hughes Book 1, or any Book 1 for that matter. So C, E, and G. So this is the triad, which is your home position. You want to get back here. So whenever you're playing a chord that has notes that are dissonant with the notes in this chord, C, E, and G, and when you come back from the dissonance back to these notes, it's called a resolution. So what is the most dissonant note? The most dissonant note, the most dissonant interval is a minor second, which is like the very next note. So let me play something for you. And show you like how dissonant this is. So I'm gonna play like Jingle Bells for you. So the regular Jingle Bells goes like. If I play the same thing, using minor second intervals as a harmony, it's gonna sound horrible because that is the most dissonant interval that you can create. Like, I might be wrong here. That's like one of the most dissonant intervals that you can create. I'm not sure if there's something else that's even more dissonant. So let's do this. So I'm gonna play this in minor seconds and let's see how this sounds like. Okay, so I wasn't able to play that very smoothly, but you could hear that that wasn't pleasing to the eye, right? Like, there was something wrong. You might want to play that like when something is broken or like something is not working well. So that's not a good harmony, but there are other intervals that might sound better if I play like thirds or sixths. That sounds better. So when we construct chords, especially when you like end a song, you want to come back to that home, right? So you move to a position that is dissonant from your home and then resolve back to home. So that's why a lot of times when you look at songs, you'll have like G major, C major, and then you go up a fifth. So that's like building tension. So that's like a resolution. That's a strong resolution. So that's very basic, right? You see that right from the first song that you learn to play. And to make it even more interesting, you can use like the F, which is called the subdominant, which is also building pressure. But instead of just doing like C, G, and back to C, you can have an intermediary step where you go to your F, which is the fourth or the subdominant, which also builds pressure. And then instead of resolving it from the F, what we can do, which in itself is sort of a resolution, but we want a more stronger resolution. The strongest resolution that you can get is from a dominant to a root. So we progressively build it. C major, F major, G7, and C. So that's like a nice resolution, right? So that's what's happening. So instead of doing this, I'm going to show you a way of creating a different resolution in which you use diminished chords. And that is something that you can incorporate into like any song that has this pattern of C, which is like C, C major, F major, G, G7, C, C major. So that's like basic. So now how do we do this with diminished chords? So let me see if I can do this right on the first attempt. I learned this for the first time when I played a song called the Giulietta Polka, which incorporated this chord progression. So the first chord, so initially we were doing like root, subdominant, dominant, root. So now what we're going to do, we're going to play C major, C, C major, and then I'm going to go up to C sharp, which is right on top of A. So this is my A, C sharp, and then I'm going to play the G diminished, which is right here. So it might look hard, but with some practice, this becomes like very intuitive. They are like right, the C sharp and the G diminished chord button are actually very well aligned. So you just do this. So what we do is C, C major, C sharp, G diminished, and then D bass with G major, and then G bass with G dominant, and then C. So this is how it sounds like. One more time. So instead of doing something like the second time over, you can just mix it and match it and add this one. So that's one way to do it. So the melody line here is just this. So we go from C to C sharp to D, which is basically this. That's what we're doing here. And then do the G. So let me show you what fingers I use for this. So I use the third finger for the C, second finger for the C major, and then jump to C sharp, which will be kind of hard when you do it at first, but do enough repetitions and then it'll be easy. C sharp with the third finger, and then G7, G diminished, which is the last one here. With fingers 3 and 2, and then use your third finger, you just slide it down to like D. And then use your fourth finger here to play the G major. And then slide it back to the G bass. And you can do this in practically any scale, right? So let's say I'm playing it in F major, I could do it. Or E major. So that's one way that I use the diminished chord. So most of us have this in our accordion, so we might as well end up using it. And probably you will encounter this if you're like progressing with your material and if you look at songs that use the diminished chord. But even if you don't, you can use patterns like this. If your song just has like a resolution from C to F to G and then back to C, you can use this pattern instead to make your song more interesting. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions or if you have any like suggestions to do things differently, and if I'm not doing it right, feel free to leave a comment. Until then, keep practicing.